Hello everybody! Scotty PF may be here. Welcome back to Higurashi no Koroni. In the last few episodes, things have been really messed up. And I think it's only going to get worse from here. So, I'm prepared, I think. Let's get through this together. Fuck, I'm scared. I'm super scared. Tap, tap, tap. The sound of muffled footsteps stopped in front of the door in my room. A moment of silence, as if whomever they belonged to was ascertaining if I was inside. Of all the things I should have been doing, I continued on with my restless slumber. I was very much conscious, but my body hadn't kind of caught up yet. Even with danger bearing down on me from beyond the door. It was as if I was completely paralyzed and unable to move. Without a doubt, this was sheer terror. Please, just leave. Hey, why isn't my body awake yet? If they came into my room right now, then... Ah! Eek! I sprung to my feet and threw my covers at my mom, who was opening the door. Whoa! Keiichi! What's the matter? Sorry. I was still half asleep. I thought it was still 1 or 2 a.m. But the morning sun was already streaming through the gap between the curtains. It felt nothing like morning. Yesterday I must have fallen asleep right after that. Then I should have gotten a full 10 hours of rest. But it didn't feel like that at all. My internal clock was completely screwed up and my sense of balance felt off. I felt feverish enough that it was clear to me that I was still not well. Well, Keiichi? How are you feeling? Can you make it to school? I was well enough to go, but I wasn't mentally prepared for it. I was still plagued with the terror from yesterday. If I had swallowed that needle, what would have happened? Or what if it had already pierced my tongue? There was undoubtedly a murderous intent, but I don't think that's all it was. If they really wanted to kill me, then there were more certain ways to do it. They wouldn't resort to such a dubious method as having me swallow a needle. Meaning I didn't want to believe it, but going that far was just a threat from Mion and Rena. Aren't you glad you didn't die? But next time we'll use a more assured method. Like that. Something like sending a letter with a razor inside would have been a joke compared to this. But did you make it to the hospital? Did you take your medicine? Yeah, kinda. Something about my mom's dubious gaze bothered me. She seemed more concerned about her son missing 2 days of school rather than him being sick. It was definitely mental fatigue. I wasn't really physically ill. It'd be hard for you to get back on track once your daily routine is thrown off. Come on, get up. They say wellness is a state of mind. 1 second. My headset feels like it's not properly set. There you go. I'd heard that line many times before. I was given an award in elementary school for having perfect attendance, but it wasn't like I was healthier than everyone. Come on, go wash your face. Breakfast is already ready. There isn't much time before Renachan comes and gets you. Mion's mom's tone meant I couldn't argue about it, so I had to give up on skipping a second day. By the way, were you the one who got bean paste all over the living room wall, Keiichi? You shouldn't do something like that. Your father was quite angry. I didn't feel particularly guilty for doing it, so I didn't have much of a reaction. Also, Mom didn't question me any further about it. She headed back downstairs after she was certain I was getting up. What Mom said as she left yesterday. Mion said as she left yesterday, I'd hate it if you missed school tomorrow. Came back and dwelled in the back of my head. What did she mean by that? I didn't even have to really think about it. She was saying, don't be absent. Taking that a bit further, it was the same as her saying I should just go about living my life as if nothing happened. If I showed any signs of acting unusual, it would probably result in them making their move. For example, maybe I shouldn't pay attention to someone like Oishi-san enticing me with something unusual. Meaning, if I didn't watch my mouth or did anything different from the norm, in effect, it would end up flagging myself. I would end up, well, it would, do you say it? Yeah, it would end up flagging myself as someone who was not wanted. And it seemed that was something that the girls didn't intend to forgive. So, if I just went along as normal, no harm would come to me. Was that how it was going to be? All that misery I experienced until yesterday was, it would almost creepily just fade away. It was an enticing deal. Just by forgetting everything I'd seen or heard these last few days, I'd be able to keep living on like normal. There's no way such a selfish thing could. I swallowed hard. I once again deliberated on the idea that I had just rejected. Mion was probably a good person who had her friends at heart. She was giving me, who had mistakenly broken some rule of theirs, a chance. Was what I did really something so unforgivable? But Mion had given me another chance. She was saying if I just forgot everything and kept living on like I had been, I'd be forgiven. Keiichi, your food is going to get cold. Hurry up and get down here. Rena will be here if you don't hurry. I'm coming. I crammed my textbooks into my bag and hastily made my way downstairs. I picked at my somewhat bland breakfast. It seems that I didn't have much time. It was already past when I usually met up with Rena. Given yesterday's event, she'd probably be here in the next 5 minutes. I needed to be ready to head to school by then. I had to forget everything that had happened the past few days. Forget it all and return to my normal life. For this to be normal, I'd have to be where I normally meet up with Rena. Today of all days, the rice was dry and hard to get down. I jumped at the sound and dropped my chopsticks. That chime signaled that Rena had arrived. Mom hurried me along. Come on, Rena-chan's already here. Hurry, hurry. My mother's merely smile and gloomy face were polar opposites. Honestly, I was reluctant to see Rena, who was waiting there on the other side of the door. The Rena on the other side, was it the Rena I knew? I couldn't keep her waiting. I needed to do things as usual. Oh fuck, I'm scared. Morning! And an invigorated greeting filtered from across the doorway. I came since Keiichi-kun was a bit late. Will he be okay, I wonder? The manner in which Rena was concerned was, without a doubt, the Rena I knew. But that was probably only if I reciprocated. Forget everything from yesterday. Pretend as though nothing had happened. God damn it, no more scary shit, please. Forget about the gruesome dismemberment. Forget about the mysterious deaths that had happened the following years. Forget about the people falling to their death, and the terminal illness and suicide, and the lynching, and the disappearances. Forget it all. Forget that Rena and Mion were scary. Of course. Forget it all. Forget about everyone. Forget about the mochi too. Forget. Rena once again asked to make sure. Can you make it to school? Yeah, I'm fine. Great! Then let us go! Mi-chan is waiting! Rena showed me her usual bright smile. I couldn't find any hint of deceit in her expression. My nervousness dissipated, giving way to relief. Okay. The music stopped! And I was like, oh, is her eyes gonna change? Her eyes gonna change. They didn't. They're good. It's good. But you see, Satoko-chan was so insistent she could do it. As we were walking, Rena talked about a lot of different stuff. More so than usual. Then? Satoko-chan is clumsy, so she failed no matter how many times she tried. How? She was so cute. Everything Rena talked about was just silly nonsense, so I just replied every so often and laughed from time to time. It was a rather laid-back conversation. Okay. We passed by one of our neighbors, and they called out to us. Oh my, Kei-chan and Rena-chan, aren't you two a bit late today? Mion-chan said she was going on ahead. Uh-oh, did Mi-chan look mad, I wonder? We need to hurry up, Keiichi-kun. As he smiled and parted way with our neighbor, they turned back towards me and stuck out a tongue. Not expecting that, I couldn't help but crack a smile. Ah, Keiichi-kun smiled. Huh? What? Rena stopped and stared at me. I was thinking that you still hadn't recovered from your cold since you seemed down this morning, Keiichi-kun, but now you seem fine. Fine. With a grin, she gently poked my cheek. It was a bright, sincere smile. Hey, Keiichi Maibara. How can you still doubt Rena after she shows you a smile like that? Maybe I just had a high fever up until today. And I imagined everything I had thought happened because I was so bedridden and delirious. I really hoped that was the case. If God would grant me just one wish, there's only one thing I'd wish for. I would want what happened in the past few days. More specifically, from the night of the Watanagashi up until last night. I wanted all of it to have never happened. I wonder how many times I'd wish for these in these past few days. As long as Rena kept on smiling like this, I think it might just become reality. So I wanted Rena to keep on smiling. Keep on smiling. So, Keiichi-kun. Uh-oh. Those mochi yesterday, did you eat them all? Ah! The vain wish of mine was instantly shattered. My heart began palpitating. The relaxing morning mood suddenly became frigid. Rena's smile was the same as usual. Her eyes were gentle as usual. Those mochi yesterday, did you eat them all? Of course she wasn't asking the question at face value. In other words, Rena was asking, did you get the message? She was probably trying to convey that. Keiichi-kun. I was reluctant to give an answer. Rena stopped walking and stared deeply into my eyes. Don't hesitate, Keiichi Maibara. Rena was acting the same as always, wasn't she? I needed to respond to him in my usual way. Naturally, of course. But both my throat and mouth had gone dry, and my lips were stuck together. Hurry and answer, Keiichi. Not that much time had passed. I could still keep the conversation going naturally. I had to say something quickly. Rena playfully mimicked what I had said when I finally squeaked something out. Rena-chan reaction was still normal. It seemed that there wasn't as long of a pause as I had thought. Oh no, something scary is gonna happen. Somehow I finally squeezed out the rest. Delicious. However, my strained effort is neither sullied nor brightened Rena's expression. For a moment, I panicked, thinking I had replied incorrectly. But after a few minutes, Rena broke into her usual soft smile and giggled with a joyful voice and seemed to echo through the morning air. Being strung along by the laugh, I couldn't help but laugh as well. I see! Oh no. So did you eat all of them, I wonder? I wonder? I'm so scared right now. My timid smile froze again. Did you make it without swallowing the sewing needle? Was that what she was asking? If I had swallowed it, then I wouldn't be here. Nah, I couldn't finish all of them. There's still some left. I was scared but out of my wits. That's how I played it. Huh? What about the homework to see if you could tell which one Rena made? Haha, that homework, was it due today? Yeah, it's due today. Mii-chan will get angry. There's probably a penalty game ready for you. We both laughed at each other. To a casual observer, it was just a typical morning. But if I could just let myself believe, then even if I think it was just the usual morning routine. But I was certain I wasn't mistaken. There was something unimaginable buried beneath the facade of this giggling Rena. Lies. I recalled that unexpected, piercing voice that I could hardly believe came from Rena's mouth. The moment that image crossed my mind, I felt a cold sweat trickle down my back. Was it only at that particular time that something evil had possessed Rena? No, that was wrong. That was still Rena. Oishi-san told me, didn't he? Actually, I looked into her. Before Ryugu-san moved away to Hinamizawa, she was suspended from school. It seems she went through her school building and broke all of the windows. Rena had a disorder that normal people didn't. No matter how pleasantly she smiled, That fact would not change. But I couldn't even imagine how she looked as she broke all the glass throughout the school. One thing I knew was that it wasn't something spur of the moment. If it was some sudden outburst of anger, then maybe she'd break a pane or two. But she broke all the windows throughout her school. Just imagine going through your old school breaking the windows with a bat. Oh, fuck, that scared me. Swinging full force at each pane of glass, one after another, paying no heed to the flying shards. I swear we're going to hear more soon. Your classmates, aghast, unable to move from the sudden turn of events. I wonder where she could have found the most windows lined up in a row. Probably the hallway. Walk. Wind up. Walk. Wind up. It was difficult for me to connect that horrifying image with the Rena smiling at me right now. But I just had to imagine it. Impossible because it was unimaginable. That naive way of thinking no longer worked. The unpleasant piercing sound of shattering glass, the crunching noise as Rena treads across the broken shards walking towards me. Rena's classmates going pale as they thought to even breathe. They forget to even breathe. I wonder what they did as Rena came closer, breaking windows along her path. Did they earnestly try to bring her to her senses by saying something? Or did they jump at her, trying to stop her savagery? Or did they run to the staff room after being directed there by their teachers? Probably none of those. In the face of that blood-curdling sight of Rena busting through window after window, undoubtedly all they could do was silently clear a path for her. Dumbfounded, just clearing the path for Rena to continue. It was far too violent an act for them to seek refuge by looking the other way. That's not to say they were looking the other way. They were doing that only thing they could do to protect themselves. If they had done something differently from the rest, they may have suddenly found themselves as Rena's new target. What would Rena have done to whoever attracted her attention? The answer was obvious. She would have undoubtedly acted according to her whims. Meaning I would, be the next window. Rena stared into my eyes, shards of glass crunching and crackling underfoot as she drew closer. I was also drawn into her eyes, paralyzed. Thus, Rena struck me with the bat over and over again, like I was one of those windows. I crunched down on the floor, desperately protecting my head. Rena didn't care whether it was my head or my back. Zealously, she hits me again and again. That is some scary-ass photo of Rena, I'll tell you that right now. What kind of expression was she making as she was doing this over and over again? I peered up to see. Her expression was so indifferent, it was completely unnerving. It's because no matter how many times she struck me, I didn't make as pleasant a sound as the other windows. She struck me continuously, over and over again. The sound Rena wanted didn't come out. Our classmates standing around didn't try to stop her. They didn't want to be the next window. Somebody save me. Turning a blind eye unless we're hanging out. But of course, everyone in class scrambled to obtain the highest standardized test scores. They've gained nothing from saving a cram school try-hard like me. Eventually, there would be a faint sound similar to when you crack open a walnut and some sort of reddish-black spray would shoot out. Anyway, it wasn't that Rena momentarily lost herself in anger. After forcing myself to breathe and calm down my heart, I recalled what Oishi-san told me. And in the counselor's medical report, he recorded all the conversations he had with Rena-san. It shows up. And quite a bit of that. What does? She mentioned the word Oyashiro-sama. Following that, Rena was suspended and had regular examinations at the hospital. Then, as Rena was undergoing counseling, she said it over and over. Oyashiro-sama. It seemed that Oyashiro-sama she spoke of was like a ghost, appearing in her house every night, standing over her pillow looking down at her. That was the only piece of their conversation, so I still couldn't see the picture, but it was by no means a happy little conversation. Then what Rena did, was she saying that ghastly incident was a result of her being possessed by Oroshiro-sama? Up until now, I didn't want to believe in Oroshiro-sama's curse. That's why I wanted to say the mysterious deaths every year happened because of some sort of conspiracy. Every time I talked with Oishi-san, I was more certain that the deaths were work of man and not of some curse. Except if it was people perpetrating the incidents, my friends were somehow deeply connected. If I refused to believe that the curse was real, then I would have to believe that those who acted the kindest to me were deeply involved in the incidents. Why? How? For what reason? Was Rena? Was everybody? It was so much more painful and troublesome than accepting that it was just Oishiro-sama's curse. In the aftermath, Rena had admitted to her doctor that it was because she was possessed by Oishiro-sama. I felt a straight sense of relief from that. So that's how it was. There wasn't a second side to Rena. She did that because she was possessed by something strange like Oishiro-sama. It wasn't Rena's fault. Oishiro-sama was the one to blame. I knew. This was all backwards. Refusing to believe there was a curse, I wanted there to be a human perpetrator. Now that my close friends were the ones under suspicion, I changed my beliefs at my own convenience, saying that it was Oishiro-sama's curse to blame. Which was the better choice? Accepting that Oishiro-sama's curse exists? Or that Rena and the rest of them were deeply involved in the string of mysterious deaths? I didn't want to think about it. If I just didn't think about it, I'd be able to continue the same as always. I wanted to believe that. But that was no longer possible. I'd have received their message. It was pathetic of me to try and bend the meaning of to my own convenience, regardless of my opponent being human or a curse. I won't let it kill me. And as if I would just bend over and give in. For no good reason at all. Keiichi-kun, you've been making a really weird face. Why, I wonder? Inhaling sharply upon hearing Rena's voice, I came back to my senses. Before I had realized we were already at the entrance. Shaking my head a few times, I exercised all those terrifying thoughts. No matter how you looked at it, there was no way Rena could have done such terrible things. It was like I was trying to pictate myself. I think that's what it said, pictate, right? 1 second, roll up. Aw, something hit my head, didn't it? Roll up. Pictate? Does that say pictate? Placeate. I apologize. Words. As I slid the door open, a blackboard eraser loaded with chalk dropped down on my head in the moment I stepped into the classroom. The chalk dust went into my eyes, inducing a brief moment of agony. Oh! How befitting for the truant Keiichi-san. Good morning to both of you, Keiichi and Rena. Good morning, Satoko-chan, Rika-chan. Not quite in the mood for it, I didn't really react to Satoko's trap. Satoko braced herself as I passed by, expecting me to attack her. She seemed a bit disappointed as I simply walked by silently. Well, what is this? How discouraging indeed. Keiichi doesn't seem back to his usual self yet. Yeah. Take it easy for him, okay? Suddenly, there was a slap down on my shoulder. I hurt a bit. Hey, Kei-chan. Did you get enough rest? It was Mion. My mind was full with the stuff about Rena, but Mion was also a party of interest. Remember, Keiichi. That hawkish gaze from yesterday. Yeah. Morning. What's with that energetic greeting? Did you eat the mochi I brought you? Because I ate them, I'm like this. Those words were itching to be blurted out. I really just didn't have the appetite. I ate a few, but a lot were left over. Huh? What about the homework? Do you have an answer for which one was Rena's? I can't believe you forgot your you'd forget your homework, Keiichi-kun. Ah ha ha ha. Sheesh. Then we can't help it. Time for your penalty. Muhihi. Flaunting a lurid smile, Mion returned to her seat. There was nothing from our exchanges that would cause our classmates to suspect anything was amiss. But of course, anyone listening to our conversations up until this morning wouldn't see anything suspicious. That was why it was so frightening. They acted in a way that, regardless of whatever happened to Keiichi Maibara, no one would ever suspect them. That fact terrified me. Soon the teacher came. After she asked how I felt and took attendance, another dull, ordinary day began. Okay, 25 minutes in. I don't think this episode is over yet. I think there's probably still a little bit more. I think it'll continue until we get home, I think. Probably, maybe. Unless they all of a sudden throw us hints and we're done. That'd be real weird. Maybe early. Oh, we're not done. No tips up yet. Okay, we're not done. Yep, cool. The free period, study period, was a convenient time to consider where I stood. I gently closed my eyes and pondered the ridiculous position I was in right now. First of all, what I shouldn't forget was how dangerous of a situation I was in. I had fallen out of favor with them. After I interacted with Oishi-san multiple times, I could see as if I was getting closer to the heart of the matter. Then the warning yesterday with the mochi was a good indicator of that. No, calling it warning was just my habit of understating things. It probably had no meaning beyond stunting my process and buying themselves some time. Not until they had a method of completely erasing me. They were just biding their time. Even though they were keeping me under their thumb in threats, it didn't change the fact that I knew too much. The chilling sensation on my desk made me recall Satoshi Hojo, the boy who was using the seat until last year when he disappeared. Was he also similar to me? Did he learn something he shouldn't have and was erased? Damn. I wouldn't let them get rid of me so easily. Never. But were they really trying to kill me? I've had these contradictory feelings for a while now. Even though I suspect them, I felt like I had to cover for them. Which, all of their suspicious behavior a morning like this just made it all seem like an elaborate hoax. That's just what I wanted to believe. Doubting my friends? Covering for them? My life was in danger. Or was it? Actually, I was debating the wrong point. Given my current situation, those points were something that should have been deliberated on a long time ago. But really, Rena and the rest of them, were they actually aiming to kill me? The little voice inside me continued to torment me with these unresolved trains of thought. Are you an idiot, Keiichi Maibara? The answer should be obvious. But maybe the sewing needle might have been just an accident, right? How could you screw up and drop a sewing needle into a piece of mochi? The benefit of the doubt can only go so far. Both Rena and Mion had acted and behaved suspiciously, but maybe it was also some sort of misunderstanding. What kind of misunderstanding? It wasn't just suspicious, it was outright ludicrous, right? Rena just corrected me for lying, and Mion only asked me about what I had for lunch. Rena was standing outside our door eavesdropping for a good hour, you know. She was probably just waiting for my phone call to end. For a whole hour outside your room? And is it normal to go out home afterwards without saying anything? You heard from Oishi-san, didn't you? About what Rena did at her former school? At the hospital, she said it was all Oishi-sama's or Oyashiro-sama's fault. She... Cut it out, Keiichi Maibara. Don't you realize they're out to kill you? I inadvertently blurted those words out loud. Hearing myself say that so directly left me dumbfounded for a few moments. Afterwards, I had to look around to check if anyone had heard it. My little soliloquy cut a little too close to the truth. Even though I could feel the murderer's intent from Rena and the others, part of me somewhere was still trying to deny that. One second, I'm gonna roll up and see that. Did I really? Yeah, I did fucking say it out loud. Holy shit. This late in the game, such hesitation could be fatal. I knew that. But I was just your average student, a man living his normal, ordinary life. Do you think I could suddenly believe that my friends, who I had been happily living together with just up until last Sunday, now intend to kill me? Right? You're too soft, Keiichi. This time, I remembered to keep my voice down so I could hear it. There was only one thing I now understood. I was too soft. I didn't completely understand how dangerous Rena and the rest of them were. No, I wasn't trying to understand. I was too soft for not listening to Oishi-san when he was earnestly showing me the heart of the matter. I didn't listen because I was too busy pretending to be dejected. I didn't comprehend it. I was just running away. I didn't comprehend it, so nobody had any notion to try and kill me. I needed to get rid of such a freaking naive thoughts. As I made the resolution, I heard the bell signaling the end of class. So soon. The day was already over. I didn't recall eating lunch or doing anything in class. My friends were putting their desks together in preparation for club activities. Not long ago, I probably would have happily jumped into that circle. My, Keiichi-san. How rude of you to even think about leaving. The way Satoko spoke was so typical and familiar, it almost physically hurt. Huh, Keiichi-san, today is not a good day, I wonder? Are we going to win, and we were going to win big together. How... It seemed Rena's expression, which said she was really looking forward to today, was hard to take. Hey, Keiichi. Maybe Oishi-san is just some enormous jerk trying to separate me from the others by lying to me. Slap! Trying to expurge some weak-minded thinking, I slapped myself in the face. Keiichi-kun? Yeah, was Rena really trying to kill me? I wish someone would tell me if it was a hoax. I didn't care if it actually was one or not. I just wanted someone to say it was. Ugh, yet another weak-willed thought. How did I ever become this naive? Are you alright? Does your head hurt? Apparently that's how my inner dilemma appeared to Rena. You're pale. Can you make it home by yourself? Maybe I should accompany you home, I wonder? No, it's okay. Sorry. I can get home by myself. Just have the meeting without me. Upon hearing I wasn't going to participate on the club meeting, Mian pouted unhappily. Since Keiichi-chan is so bent on a revenge match, we were even going to play that deduction game from before too. Keiichi-san doesn't have the burning desire for a rematch? How pathetic. I wouldn't fall for some dumb taunt. Without even a real retort, I just grabbed my bag and was about to get up. Someone's hand perched itself gently on my head. Rika? Keiichi doesn't seem to be well. How very unfortunate. It was Rika-chan. She was stretched up as far as she could, doing her best to pat my head with her petite hand. It felt so nice, which made things even harder. Sorry. Everybody. See you. That's all I said as I quickly left the classroom. They said something to me as I was leaving, but I couldn't make it out. I managed to make it all the way to the entrance in that state of mind. Took my shoes, put them on, and went forward. Hard in that heart, Keiichi Mabara. They were, for some unfathomable reason, trying to kill me. They were plotting something dubious, watching my every move. But I couldn't hate them. Because weren't they my friends? Part of me lamented my naivete, while another part lamented the fact that I had lost something important by lamenting over it in the first place. It felt like my consciousness was being ripped out of my body. If this was what Oishi-sama's curse was like, then it was just too harsh. Hey, Oishi-sama, I was wrong for not believing in your curse. But I believe in it now. Completely. Your curse does exist. So seriously? Give me a break. I beg you. Come on! I think something dark's gonna happen soon. Just wait for it. Dinner was unusually bland. It had no flavor or aroma. The miso soup was normally tart or tantalized my appetite instead of tasting like nothing but boiled water. The dad was eating with us that night. It was a rare occurrence in this household. When he got into his work, he ate and slept on his own schedule. My dad never cared about the time. Since my dad was at the dinner table, it either meant he had just reached a good point to take a break or he was in a slump. So yeah, he just didn't understand the motivation creators have. Your partnership was just a verbal agreement, wasn't it? It's so hard to agree on things, why not just end it? I feel like in the industry there's a lot of back scratching, but when it gets in the way of the business, I wasn't able to pick out much of my mom and dad's conversation, but I could tell it wasn't a very pleasant topic. That, of course, made the disgusting food even less appealing. Staring listlessly at the exchange between my parents, my mind wandered off the same thought process I had going all day. Friends close to me, people who were my friends just could no longer trust. Right now, I was greatly lacking in allies. People I trusted, people I could depend on when push came to shove, they were something I just didn't have. Having just one ally would be increasingly reassuring in the currently hopeless situation I was in. I put down my chopsticks and looked over at my parents, who were still talking about work. The first course of action came to mind was to tell my parents everything. Currently, there wasn't a single person from Hinamizawa I could trust 100%. That meant the only people I could trust were my parents. But if I told them everything that happened up until now, would they understand? Rena, for example. That neighborly Rena, who was so diligent in looking after me, came to get me every day and sometimes brought over a share of what she made. How could I explain that she wanted to kill me? No matter how I explained it, it would probably be difficult for anybody to comprehend. My somewhat eccentric dad wouldn't understand, and my high-strung mom would probably drag me off to a psychiatrist in a blink of an eye. Sadly, that was the amount of trust that existed in our relationship. Even if they did come to understand, what could they possibly do? Unless they could uncover the truth, they wouldn't be able to protect me. No, by informing these unnecessary things, I'd be putting my parents in danger as well. Considering that the victims in past incidents were other often married couples, I couldn't even joke about it. For the entire Maibata family to have an accident or just to vanish into thin air, it was easily possible in Hinamizawa. What was important was that knowing something unnecessary put you in danger. The most unsettling question was, how did they know I knew? As long as they didn't know, my parents might not fall victim. That was one way to think about it, I guess. At least it was like that in my case. After I found out, things started becoming odd. In other words, it meant the following. As long as my parents didn't know anything, nothing would happen to them. As long as my parents were here, this house would be a safe haven for them. I knew these were just assumptions based on the conjecture on top of conjecture. Wanting this house to be a safe haven, that was the pinnacle of my weak-willed method of thinking. I had to concede that it was not completely safe. It was only safer than the outside. I knew that I couldn't rely on my parents. No, I couldn't risk getting my parents involved. Man, this is really sad. Keiichi really wants his parents to stay safe. This guy is great. The only person I know could be my ally would be Oishi-san. Him and him alone. He was the only person who understood the situation I was in. He didn't care so much about my safety, but he was without a doubt passionate about solving the case. It was a bit frustrating. Oishi-san was basically the whole reason I was in this mess. Now to get out of it, I had to rely on him. Meaning it was all going according to his devices. It was just my job to look appetizing while bobbing in the waves as bait. Then when the fish started gathering around, Oishi-san would pull up on the big haul. It was slightly infuriating, but even though I thought that was the best course of action. 1 second, my throat is dry as fuck. I've got a Coke here. I'm gonna drink some because I'm thirsty as shit. This is so hard to do, just straight. It's so good. I'm glad that Coke now has these 1 liter bottles of Coke because they're like $1 where I get them from. And a 2 liter is like $2 something, sometimes even $3. So just getting 1 big liter for $1 or $1.50 in comparison to a 175 bottle, that's usually like freaking half that with double the price. Of course I'd want the 1 liter. Anyway, we'll continue here. So then, what should I do? Patience was the first rule of fishing. Just keep waiting until the fish actually bites. But I wasn't simply bait. There were lots of ways for me to struggle before being devoured. When they struck, I needed to somehow dodge just enough and tag out to Oishi-san. No question, it was going to be hard. The timing to bring Oishi-san in would be difficult. He was in the city, not Hinamizawa. So if I found him in any moment I needed, it would at least take 30 minutes to reach me. So I needed to run away for those 30 minutes. For example, if we set up a rendezvous point for dire situations or something, I just have to hide out there until Oishi-san arrived. Okay, I can almost see it now. I was still being chased around the dark by boogeymen, but now I knew which way to go. I would have never thought about how reassuring this was. Oh yeah. It would probably be best if I had concealed a weapon for them when things got rough. Typically that would call for a switchblade, but that wasn't too reassuring for combat. Also, since it was recognizable as a weapon by the public, that also wasn't good. Really, when the time comes, a long weapon like a bat would work in my favor. I remember there was a metal bat at school. I could be confident with that when push comes to shove. If I pretended to practice swinging, then it wouldn't be suspicious to be always carrying around. I could go to school early tomorrow and secure it. Just possessing a weapon may be enough to deter them. Also, one more thing. Insurance. It could be something like a note or memo. I could write down everything that's happened as sort of a journal. In case I suddenly vanished, the journal would be left behind. With my journal in his possession, Oishi-san should be able to avenge my death. I left my parents engrossed in their conversation about work and went back to my room. I tore out a piece of paper from my notebook and made my way to my desk. Last time I wrote a journal was for summer homework in elementary school. In the off chance something bad happened, the police could use my diary as a lead. So I should only write down the facts. How should I start? I jotted down my thoughts as they came. I, Keiichi Mabara, am in fear for my life. It made me laugh nervously. It was a line that showed up often in detective stories. I never even dreamed that I would be in the type of situation where I'd write it myself. I do not know why they are after my life. Rena and the others were suspicious, but I had no proof. And that's why I couldn't write anything more. I laughed wryly at myself for writing such a passage draped in mystery. Would the police be able to get a hint from reading this enigmatic passage? I could only pray that they would. What I prayed for the most, though, was that this journal never needed to play its part. Here I laughed nervously. It was too simple, so I wrote down one more line I just thought of. The only thing I do know is that it had to do with Oishiro-sama's curse. Was that too much? I probably shouldn't write more than that. If I wrote any more, then it would just seem like it was just delusional. In order to appear to the reader that the person who had written this was a sound of mine, I chose not to write anything else at that point. I just needed to it as long as I learned more. I folded the paper and thought about a place to hide it. By hiding it somewhere obvious, there was the chance that they could uncover it instead. On the other hand, it was too obscure of a location, and there was a risk of nobody finding it at all. In the end, I decided to tape it to the clock off my wall and stick the folded note in the back of it with Scotch tape. After that, I put the clock back into the normal position. Yeah. It didn't look like anything was hidden behind it. Now I needed to set it up such that if anything happens to me, my parents could find it. I looked at it from countless different angles until I was satisfied and made my way downstairs. My parents are still talking about work. It didn't look like it was going to end anytime soon, so I cut in. Sorry to interrupt. I have something I want to talk to you about. I'd never startled off a conversation like that before, so my parents were both startled. They stopped talking and turned toward me. What is it, Keiichi? I have a favor to ask you. Please listen. Just in case, yeah? If it's not urgent, can we do this later? Right now, Mom and Dad have something urgent they're talking about. I didn't think their talk was more urgent than mine. In any case, I stated my request. Just in case, okay? If I die... Both my parents' eyes went as wide as saucers. If I die, I want you to put the clock on my wall in my coffin. If they did that, they'd probably find it. My memoir. Both my parents remained wide-eyed, not moving an inch. I couldn't blame them. I made that clock in shop class, and I really like it. So please. What is the matter? Keiichi, did something happen? Mom was finally able to ask me with a questioning gaze. Of course, this was a normal response for when someone's son suddenly talks about a subject like this. I felt bad about making them worry, but right now I just wanted them to think about the clock in my room. With that awkward mood, leaving the room in silence, I decided to go back to my room. I want to get to school early tomorrow, so I'm going to bed. Good night. Saying only that, I left the living room. I needed to get to school early tomorrow and secure the bat. I could make today the last day I went to school with Rena. I should make today the last day I go to school with Rena. As I climbed the stairs, I heard my mom call my name, but I pretended not to hear her. It wasn't something I could talk about with my parents. If I talked about it, it would only make things more dangerous. The fight that had begun was mine and mine alone. I couldn't rely on anybody. I wouldn't be killed. Not when I knew nothing. Oh my god, we have a game plan. Things might work out. I think this is the end of the episode. Oh, one last tip. Not feeling too hot. Let's read that and then the episode. Keiichi-kun's been feeling down lately. Maybe he's in a bad mood. I wonder. Maybe he's in on his period. Mi-chan, that's gross. Yuck, 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 yuck. What do you think? Don't know. Could it be that Kei-chan? Maybe. I don't know. That day, Kei-chan was in the car talking to some tubby middle-aged man, right? Yeah. No mistake. That Oishi, he probably fed him something fishy. He was so serious. Keiichi-san's face was so pale. You see, you might not know this, but he's actually the messenger of Oyashiro-sama. What? What? Huh? What do you mean? Whenever he shows up, someone is demoned away. No lie. Oh? Is that so? This year before last, when Rika-chan's mom drowned, right? Right before that, she was visited by Oishi. Now that you mention it, it happened before Satoshi-kun transferred out. Transferred? Ahahaha, you're so sweet, Rena. So this time he appeared before Keiichi-kun. So Keiichi-kun is going to be demoned away too? An empty silence hung in the air. And then it was suddenly interrupted. By loud laughter. Why? 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 Oh no! Fucking hell! Fuck. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. Holy fucking shit. Oh my god. This is getting really crazy, guys. We are about so close to the darkest shit in this damn game. I think we're very close to the end. Maybe a few more episodes and the game is over. I can feel it. So thank you guys for watching. ScottyPF may be out. See you guys next time.